there, commercial construction coffee talk fans. Thanks for chiming in. My name's David Corse, and I'm your host. I'm also the publisher and editor of Commercial Construction and Renovation Magazine. This is what it used to look like. This was actually the last issue I published in August of 2021. We went digital May 2020. I was bi-monthly, 6 issues a year, had an event, did all sorts of stuff, and then March 2020 came, and then life changed for everybody, basically. And well, I went digital. I was lucky I had a digital magazine, and we did a small press run, but this is the last one I did in August. And this is a White Castle. Those of you in the restaurant business, or if you've been out and you need to eat those square little hockey pucks with onions on them at 3 o'clock in the morning after the bars. You know what I'm talking about. You know, White House, Crystal, you know. Anyway, this is the biggest facility that White House ever built. We got the scoop on him. And Mike Guinan, Vice President, thanks for gracing the cover. But this was a great issue. And let's see what I was doing in the back. Okay, this was 148 pages. And I'm at Elvis. I was doing a site visit. We were doing our executive retreat in Memphis. Best barbecue ever. Really cool town. I don't care what they say about, all the crime and all that. We had an awesome time, man. We went down to Beale Street, went to the Martin Luther King, area. We went to Sunset Records. I mean, it was a great weekend. But this was during my site visit. This wall of Elvis's albums is like almost 3 stories tall. If you haven't been to Graceland in a long time, I'll tell you, it's not just a little house and across the street is the souvenir shop. It's about 6 or 7 huge metal buildings. He's got his cars, all his uniforms. They built an amphitheater out there. You could spend days out there and not see anything. It was unbelievable. But I love holding the magazine. I'm digital now, but I miss holding the magazine, and it's really cool to see what was going on. This was August of 2021, and but I'm digital. I don't miss the post office. I don't miss the printer. Listen, nowhere in my wildest dreams did I think in November of 2025 that I would be coming up on 70 million people hitting my website for the year, consuming content. All right. And all of you out there that were with me when I was a print guy that made the transformation with me over to digital, you're the best. I mean, I am grateful for you and anybody else that finds us out there. We're in a niche. Not everybody's in construction, but it's a big market across the world, and it makes the world go round. Maintenance too, and design, and all those other things that go in. You need dirt, just like here. I built this house. I've been here 4 months, for those of you who know, and it's been a wild ride. And but I'm settled, and I know what my monthly nut is every month, and it's been great. And I'm glad, we rolled the dice. And listen, I did it with my wife. We've been together for 34 years. Everybody told me, don't build your house with your wife. What are you, crazy? And then here I am. I'm still married to her. She's the designer. I really, listen, I was like the back, I come from a construction family, so I knew it. So I kept my mouth shut about everything. There were a couple times where I was like, hey, babe, maybe we should do this, but, it's just one of those communication things. And you got construction guys go through it every day. But no, it was a great experience, I thought. And I'm just, the last 2 months when it all comes together, the first, you're getting everything done. You get your CO, your certificate of occupancy. It is like the greatest feeling ever. And then you got to move. And I did it. I've always moved at the end during the summer and the heat, and it rained. And I was putting up the fence. I got 4 rescue dogs, and I had to make sure that the coyotes didn't get them or the bears behind me. Anyway, once you get settled, I built that. We built that, and it's been great. So, but I've been doing my podcast out here. It's about 45 degrees out here right now. So I'm a hockey player. I didn't care. I didn't even wear socks when I skated. And anyway, I just like doing them out here. But when it gets a little colder next month, I'm going back up to the studio with the neon lights. So, but it's beautiful out here, just a little chilly. Today, I have 2 nice gentlemen. I know it's chilly up there, where they're at. They're with Ariston. I've got Mike and Steve, and I'm going to let them pronounce their own names so I don't butcher them or anything.
All right, Steve, you go first.
Yeah. So, Steve, where are you at?
So I am currently, David, I'm located just north of Philadelphia in a little town called Willow Grove. Mm-hmm. My second home is on the coast of Maine up in Booth Bay Harbor. I got that when I got married 15 years ago with my wife. It's a house she grew up in, so it's a labor of love. We've been rebuilding it as we go along. It was built in the mid 1800s, so with only 3 or 4 additions by the number of foundations under it, right? So it's a gorgeous little place. It's gorgeous down here. Lots of business in the Mid-Atlantic, lots of hydronic business up in New England. It's just been lovely. So it's so for brief on that.
Give
So
us
how
a,
you doing,
tell us.
everybody? My name is Mike Sokaris, and I live in Albany, New York. It's an upstate town. It's capital of New York State, and I've been in this house. We built as well. Been in this house about 11 years at this point.
Nice,
Oh,
nice.
and Dave, so you know, in my first house, I took a 900 square foot house on 2.5 acres and added a small 3,300 square foot addition to it. And yes, I built that myself also. And
All
so
right, all
I'm
right.
I'm well aware of what you just went through.
Yeah. Two things. I'm from Pottstown, Pennsylvania. Grew
Love
up
it.
there. So before the bypass was put in, and anyway, and you know what I'm talking about. And I miss Stearns. They
Absolutely.
took it away. And Mike, the Albany Firewolves, because I'm a lacrosse guy, man.
Albany Firewolves,
You
yeah,
know,
they just pulled out. I was heartbroken.
yeah. And I'll tell you, there was a guy named he was he wasn't on the national champions a couple of years. Ethan Walker. He played on there. Anyway, it was good to see at the end, but you know, it's listen,
It happens. We're a
those
small
teams
city,
float
so they
around.
come and
The
go.
Philadelphia Wings have been there. They've gone. They come back. They leave. They come back. It's okay, but it was good to see them while they were there. Hey, they were in the championship last year.
They
They
did.
didn't
They
get it done,
won.
but they did.
They
You
won
know.
a couple years ago. So
So the reason why I had these gentlemen on is, Ariston, water heaters and all that kind of stuff, right, guys? Am I correct on that?
Water heaters and
yes,
boilers. Yep.
and
Yeah,
boilers.
exactly. So everybody uses them in some form or fashion, whether when you go out to eat, you're in a commercial, residential space, your home, your log cabin, whatever. And it's just, it's kind of like, tires. Tires, they're around, but they improve them every year. Water heaters, I went to AHR last year when it was here in Atlanta. I walked it, and the cool. There were a couple new things, but the technology. But now with AI, who knows what's going to happen? So, but you got to stay heated. You got to stay cool in the summer, and you got to stay warm in the winter. Down here in Atlanta, we use the heat probably 3 months a year: December, January, February, and then it warms up. In the summer, we run the AC probably July, August. That's about, June, July, August. And then there's a couple
Nice.
months where we don't do anything. We leave the windows open. So, but you still need it. It's so, so important. So, now that we know where you're from, upstate New York, Philly, Bangor, hopefully, or up in that neck of the woods up in Maine, hopefully soon. And when we get finished after 4 years, right? Right?
Yep. You got that. You nailed
Yeah,
it.
I know, I know. So let's talk about March of 2020. So I had just had my biggest event ever in Jacksonville. We had our event, and I put my first issue out. I had my first reception down at Coconut Grove, and I'm walking, and I'm in the airport. I'm doing some site visits, and the next thing I know, boom, everything goes kaput. Oh, it's gonna be a couple weeks. It's gonna be a couple months. Here we are, 5 years later, 5.5 months later, and we're still talking about. We're out of the tunnel, but there's still punch and bruise. I know there's a couple other things but uh, you know, I made the transformation, but there was so much stuff that I learned about myself. It's just amazing. So talk about how each one of you in your company weathered the storm. Uh, just, mentally finding, where I'm coming from. So, Mike, we'll start with you.
Yeah, sure. So at the time, I was not working for Ariston. I joined Ariston just a few months ago. I guess a little bit about my kind of career and as it's progressed. I started, I'm an engineer by schooling, but when I did my the story I tell is when I did my co-op, I was sitting in front of a desk, working on CAD and spinning things and designing things and just like staring at a computer every day, data entry. It's like if I have to do this for a living every day,
I'm gonna go crazy.
I'm not gonna survive it. So a friend of mine got me interested in kind of like technical sales and distribution, and I've kind of been in that direction my entire career, but I've pivoted a number of different times. Started off with mechanical, kind of power transmission, moved to electromechanical, moved to electrical, moved to HVAC. Now I'm on the hot water side. So I've had a stint with, distribution and channel, in some form or fashion. I was touching on all of that my entire career. I was with Square D Company on the electrical side for many, many years. I was with Centrotherm during the dates that you were talking about, and I'll come back to your question.
Yeah.
And then I made the pivot to hot water, and it's been fun. Ariston's a global company. They are the leader in what we do. Even their name has a Greek kind of connection. I was born in Greece, immigrated here when I was really young with my parents. The word Ariston in Greek means the best. So when I was approached by Ariston, it's like, wow, that's pretty cool. It's a Greek name. I was aware of the company. So I made the jump, 4 or 5 months ago. But during the time of question, I was working for Centrotherm. I was more aligned with Steve in the hydronics side of things. That's where I met Steve. We had a common friend, and we got to know each other over the years. And what that company did is they make venting for high efficiency appliances, which goes on Steve's NTI boilers and other products that Steve sells. But what I learned and what I experienced at that time was that right in line with what I've done for years is how important supply chain was. It was all the supply chain,
Oh yeah.
issues. So it was the first few months, like everybody else, was a challenge, but we found our groove. And some of the things that I learned is status quo really only get you backwards. A lot of people are comfortable with status quo. That is not me. That's not Steve, I know, and getting to meet him over the years. Status quo, if you maintain status quo, you're going backwards because things are
Oh,
changing around you. And especially at that time, and some of the things that I've learned, you got to take bold, steps. And that's one of the
absolutely.
reasons, again, why I joined Ariston, is because we've got some really, really cool products coming. We've got a bunch of changes that we're going to be making. We may be the global leader, but in the US, we are not one of the leaders. And our desire is to again make that pivot and become one of the big players here in the U.S. And I think that Ariston's got the technical prowess, the resources, the commitment to make a run at it here in the U.S. Again, another, back to your question of, what did you learn during that time? Besides taking bold action, is the importance of, strategy, teamwork, and culture. I think all three of those are very important. You may have good culture, but if you don't have teamwork and you don't have strategy, you're not going to get very far. And you take any one of those out of the equation, you're going to struggle. And lastly, like anything else, it's the people that really make the difference. It's the strategy, the teamwork, the culture, and the people, and the lack of skilled technicians right now, which is a big deal in the trades.
Oh yeah.
And even hiring people. I know on my team we've got a couple open headcounts. It's tough to find really good people that can step in, even that are trainable, if you will. So those are some of the big things that I learned over the last 5 years.
Steve, how could you hire being a Flyers guy? I'm sure, right? Were you a Flyers guy?
Yeah. Well,
I know
kind
where
of,
this
yeah,
is
sure.
going.
I'm just asking, you
But
know?
David, I have to say this. So when I played hockey many years ago, I wore Bruins colors. That's what I did. I mean, I played in
Yeah.
the men's league, and it's bring your own crap, right? So I
When I grew up in Pottstown, we played up at the Hill School, the rec league, and I played, you know, s- s- all the way through. The minute I could got out of diapers, my parents put me on skis and skates. It was just, but we played up at the Hill, and then uh, my idol was Brad Park. So he played for the Rangers. He played for Boston, Hall of Famer. And but I never liked the Flyers for some odd reason. I was from Philly. I just didn't, and but
The bullies.
yeah, well, that's when I grew up. Dave Schultz, Bobby
Broad Street
Clark.
bullies,
They
baby.
beat the Islanders a million times. And anyway, so it was, but when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's a great picture, man. We got the Bruins and we got Philly here, man. The original six. I guess maybe not, maybe, but yeah. Anyway, so all right, Steve, the floor is yours.
So you brought up 2020, right? So
Yeah.
I'd been with this company 10 years, and up until that point, we were privately owned by Kevin Dennison. His father had started our company, NTI, back in '67, and we started making steel oil fired boilers. Right? But anyway, I joined the company, and 10 years into it, he sold the company to Ariston, and of course, COVID hits. My wife had already been working remote. She was taking care of family up in the harbor, up in Boot Bay Harbor, and and they said, you got to take 2 weeks off the road. Now, at the time, I was the Mid-Atlantic Regional Sales Manager for NTI. And I said, okay. So I packed up my laptop and went up to our house in Maine. And, I figured 2 weeks, I can work anywhere remotely for 2 weeks. And
Sure.
2 weeks later, Ariston called us all and said, listen, this is going to be indefinite. So I drove back down to Philadelphia. I picked up all of my computers, all of my monitors, all of my equipment, went to Maine, set it all up. I have a beautiful office there where I look out the ocean on in front of me and to the left of me. I look right out to the harbor, and spent the entire summer working remotely. And I found out something very interesting, which was one, we started a webinar. We have the longest running webinar of any boiler manufacturer out there. We're going into episode 85 in 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
So I've been doing it since then because they said, you got to find something to do to prove your worth. And we found out things like Zoom and Teams and stuff we'd never used before. And we found out we could talk to our people, we could get together, we could hold class, we could hold, new product information, we could work on hydronics together. We could do all that training and not have to be in front of you directly. And it gave me some freedom, if that's a good way to put it. It reduced my mileage at that time from 60,000 miles a year back to about 25,000 miles a year, which was pretty cool. But what I found out is you can keep that community and keep people alive if you keep in communication, right? Stay in front of your friends, because the reality of it is no matter how much people want this not to be a relationship business, it's 100% still relationship.
Oh, yeah.
You buy from who supports you, right? So I found out that we could still communicate, we could still make promises, we could still get through on those promises, we could still deliver, and everybody stayed happy through that entire time. And it's saved a ton of time and money on travel and still kept us in front of everybody. And it was amazing. And as you know, during that time, building went crazy. People were buying houses, people were renovating because they're staying home, right? I mean, sales went up off the charts. We never imagined that would happen, right? And for the next 2 years, it was absolutely off the charts on building. So we enjoyed every minute of it. I could still do piping schematics and send them to you. I could still put pictures on your screen so you could see them. You could still see how to properly put this stuff in. And it was both scary and relieving all at the same time. The independence it gave us was absolutely off the charts. So though we all hated COVID and we all, mask up, wipe everything down, carry sanitization wipes with you everywhere. And we all had raw hands from the crap we were putting on our hands, and we found out didn't do crap, right? So it was
You forgot about the 6 feet.
yeah, exactly. Stay 6 feet away from everybody.
That was
And
just pulled out of the air. How about that?
and we just had all gotten back from AHR, right? I mean, AHR was in February. We just got done seeing, tens of thousands of people in one place, and it was just kind of fun. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed being home.
I was going to say, getting to the building thing. The first thing I did in March, like everybody, I was like, I don't know how long this thing was going to go. Middle of March, I told my kid, I'm like, hey man, we're going to redo the deck. So I went down and I, got all the wood and the planks. We did the stairs. If I would have done that job 3 months later or 2 months later, I would have paid like 3 or 4 times the amount of money. I mean, it was just, I mean, and so he was laughing at me. He's like, Dad, you should be a contractor. I'm like, I am. Brody, when I grew up outside of Philadelphia, this is the way my family, my grandfather was a lieutenant colonel underneath Patton in World War II. So I come from a military family, and All the grandsons, when you got your license at 16 in Pennsylvania, had to work in the scrapyard. So I shoveled asbestos, I laid railroad tracks, I welded, I did all sorts of stuff. And so when but I didn't become a contractor. My cousins, my guys, my same, they're running the company right now, like fourth, and but it was a great experience, and it molded me who I was. And but I still have my erector set. I'm still in construction. So when we built the house, I was like, I told my wife, I'm like, look, if you do anything, we'll go to YouTube. We'll look at some framing videos. We'll pick the right guys. We'll get some referrals. I'm not worried about it at all, And but it was an amazing time. But getting back to that whole ordeal, uh, you like many other people just kind of had to roll with the punches because no one knew what was going to happen, and that was the crazy that was the worst thing, that not knowing really what was going to go on. I mean, I was scared to death because I was a print guy for since 1999. And I was like, oh my God, are my people going to come back to me? I mean, it was the scariest thing I think I ever did. And but my artist, my editor, they were like, we have so many thousands of pages of Thank God I had that digital magazine, and and I always had it just as people are like, why do you have that thing? I'm like, you could be on the plane, you could be wherever, you'll use it down the road. But talking about the skilled trades, my son, during that time, he had just he wanted to be he was building cars and he was flipping cars, bikes, hated history. Just, he was an excellent lacrosse player. He was a deep hole. Anyway, we went into the school before his senior year and we said, look, you have shop class here, right? Yeah. You need to put my son in here. If there's out of 3,000 kids, he's the one kid you want to put in there. All right. And he goes, well, he doesn't have the math skills. I go, he'll figure it out. Trust me. So they didn't put him in. I yanked him out. He went, his senior year, he did homeschool and worked in the local garage where he got pranked, I think, every day, doing oil changes, whatever, and waited tables. And he got into this place called AIM, Aviation Institute of Maintenance. He learned sheet metal, woodworking, welding,
Nice.
avionics, 2-year program, $50,000. Got hired by Delta. And his first day at Delta, he calls me after like 3 months of like security checks and all this stuff to get onto the tarmac. He's like, Dad, I just had a recruiter from Boeing call me and they want to pay me 6 times what Delta's going to pay. I said, well, what did your boss say? He goes, get the hell out of here. Move to Charleston, South Carolina on the beach. And I said, well, come on home. So he went there. He worked for Boeing for 3 years. And then he worked a year down in Dallas. He went to this place called FlexJet. And then now he just got transferred. He just got hired by Boeing, or not Boeing, Gulfstream in West Palm, working on $30 million Challengers. But the first thing I told him, I said, look, if you're going to go into the skilled trades, go into either a plumber or HVAC, one of those things, because you need water and you got to stay warm or cold. One of those things. We'll go out and find a guy that doesn't have any siblings. We'll buy his company and you'll be apprentice and you'll learn everything is, and you will write your ticket. You'll be a millionaire because we need him. And but he like turning wrenches on the tarmac, So but it's amazing. And it was like a 180-degree turn. Like I had to pull him out of his bed every morning to get him out into high school by 7 o'clock. The minute he got in there, he was up. His bed was made. Attitude. I mean, is this the same kid? You know?
He
And
found his passion in what he did.
yeah. So anybody out there, if you got a kid, you don't know what you're going to get. Listen, I always tell people two things: get into the skilled trades, or go into the army because you get a roof over your head, you get 3 square meals a day, and you learn something. You become a man or a woman. Okay, whatever you want to be. All right, but you're going to learn
Right.
leadership, and you're going to be a leader and learn stuff that you can do. So, but he did it, and the skilled trades there's such a lack of experienced talent out here, and you know, my wife, when we built this house, she had an excellent crew, but she treats them awesome. She feeds them, she does all the things right. But man, she is one tough broad. She'll pick up the freaking sledgehammer. You don't screw with my wife, and she'll get it done herself. And but you know, it took her a while to build those crew. And I think the only sub that we wouldn't hire back would be our plumber. He was from Brazil. He speaks Portuguese. It was like impossible to communicate with him. And even with my Apple phone, with whatever, and he's the only one I think that I probably wouldn't come back just because I couldn't communicate with him. It was really tough. Communication is like key. It's not dulce, but it's you gotta be able
It's
to
key in
talk.
anything, no matter what you do, whether you're a plumber or a lawyer or an
Yeah,
engineer or a teacher or whatever. With
yeah.
communication, I tell my kids, it's like, you need to, you're not going to be an English major, but you need to learn how to write. You need to read. And with gaming with my son, who's 12, that's a challenge right now.
Oh, he's 12?
And I have a 12-year-old son and a 17-year-old daughter. And, gaming and phones are quite the challenge these days.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So you do the remote gig, and I know like 21 to 2023 was an amazing time for everybody, especially if you had a residential product, because everybody's they were redoing their homes, and it was just amazing. And then it kind of tapered, you know, you know, at least that's what I got from most people. And now we're just waiting for interest rates to go down. There'll be another explosion, and because there is a shortage, and a lot of things have to get done. So listen, we're in the second month of Q4, basically the middle of the month. We got maybe 2 weeks left here, Thanksgiving, and then you got about 2.5, 3 weeks, and then boom, this year's over. So as we move into 2026, what trends do you see, or new products that you guys are going to come out with for 2026, and then moving into the future?
Yeah. You want to tackle this one first, Steve, and then I'll go
Sure,
back?
I'd love to. So, David, it's everybody's going electrification, right? This is the big new trend. And of course, here in the States with A2L, nobody knows what refrigeration we're going to use tomorrow, right? So, is it 410, 454, 32, 290? We actually have gone into production on an air to water monoblock heat pump. So basically, it's like putting a refrigerator outside and connecting your water lines to it for your heating. Complete controls inside. We have it. We're coming out with it. It's actually being released. We're shipping this week in a 3-ton and a 5-ton. You can cascade them. So if you need more than that, you can. We have sizing tools online, so you know what to do. But using R32, in the states below me. So if you go below the Mason-Dixon line, which would be the bottom of Pennsylvania, right south, or Western South, or up in I hate to call it like Washington State, where you go inland is basically a desert, and it's hot and cold, right? It's great
Right.
places. This will produce all the hot water you need for heating. It'll give you up to about 140, 150 degree water when you're down at about 10 degrees. But you're still going to need some supplemental heat with it, which is where our boilers come into play, right? So you can put a nice propane or leave your natural gas or propane boiler in, or if you're using oil, if you're up in New England where my mother is, you might have oil. And of course, the controls switch over to that at a given temperature so that you can still maintain that. So 100% electric really isn't feasible in a lot of areas because the power grid just isn't there, right? I just, the amount of power just that, you were mentioning AI. AI will never put in a boiler. AI will never put in a toilet. AI
It'll
will
tell you
never,
how to do it.
exactly. But you still need those hands, right? We still need the tradesmen. But they just don't have the power grid. And I just read an article the other day that if they instead of putting in more power in certain areas or power plants to produce this, to satisfy AI is using so much energy that if they were to invest that money into solar for all the houses in the area, it would be 70% of the cost and about 100% of the need, and you wouldn't have to have it, which I thought was an extremely interesting article. But I look at my mom's house in the middle of nowhere up in northern Vermont, and there's just no way they had the power. Or, I designed their house to -10 38 years ago, and I designed the heating and the radiant heat for it because I'm huge in the radiant heat field, and I called my dad. I said, Dad, is middle of February. I said, so how's the heat? Because I was panicked. I mean, these are my parents I did this for, right?
Right.
And he says, well, it's warm in the house. I said, well, how cold is it, Dad? He says, well, it's going to get up to 24 today. And here I'm in Philadelphia, and I said, well, geez, Dad, it's going to be 27 here. He says, no, positive 24. It's going to be a high of minus 24.
Yeah, minus
And
24.
this
Yeah,
and
man.
this heating system's still running. And I designed it to minus 10. And the amount that we have oversized products for all these years, and people are panicked about that, right? And if you're doing actual heat load based on today's numbers, right? And use the AHRI standards, you would find out that all these houses that have 150, 200,000 BTU units really only need 45 to 80,000 BTU, which means you can use these heat pumps very well. And so, we went into it kind of kicking and screaming to come out with an air to water heat pump. But, I was traveling upstate Michigan, and everybody's asking about them. I'm like, I don't get this in Pennsylvania. And I
Yeah.
said, where are these requests coming from? And they said, well, the homeowners are coming to the contractors, and the contractors are coming to us, the wholesalers, asking us about them. I'm like, so this is all being driven by the homeowner. And I'm like, holy crap. And I'll go one step further. When we were doing condensing boilers in 2000, right? And we're selling boilers for $3,500, $4,000, and you could buy a cast iron boiler for $800 or $1,000, right? And people are like, "Oh, you're ridiculous!" And then you look at the install cost, which is 4 times as much, and people are freaking out. And I can't wait until they find out what it's going to cost them to do a heat pump and storage
Yeah.
tanks, and still have the boiler and still have all the controls. And it's going to be it's going to be a very interesting change into this. But we do have it. It is coming. We're huge with Wolf in Germany. Unfortunately, we're using refrigerants. We're using 290 there, which especially places like New York City won't allow 290 because it's not just
It depends
slightly
on what
flammable.
state you're in. Everybody,
Yeah.
the whole refrigerant thing.
Yep.
Even my HVAC guy, like we had the house I had, the nothing wrong with the unit. It just needed a refrigerant. Oh my
Mhm.
God. It was like $100 to fill the freaking thing up, man. Or even I forget. And
That was cheap. That's
yeah.
cheap.
Well, listen, I live, if you were probably inside the loop, it probably would have been more, but you know, and once again, his dad owned the company. He was a police officer, started an HVAC company. His son graduated high school. He went to work. Now they got another truck. He's going to take it over. The dad's going to retire,
Yeah.
keep it in but I offered him,
Just
I go, do you want to bid on the house? He's like, oh, dude, man, that's a lot of duck working on it, man. I need manpower to do that, man. That's over my head. I could do it but I just don't have the manpower. Like I
well,
just so much think I was going to slight you because we were talking about it.
so I'm a hot water guy. I mean, I've been in plumbing since I was 13, right? So I have my master plumber's license.
Oh wow,
I've owned a supply house. I ran another one. I've worked for a
you
German
got
company
Bob
with
Vila
great people.
here. I didn't know
And
it.
it's so I've played all sides of this coin. So when my company says we're going to go into heat pumps, I'm like, wait a minute. I do boilers, right? And it's taken a lot for me to actually step back and go, okay, so I'll embrace this because that's what people are asking for. When it's coming down from the homeowner to us, that's huge. And that's so we're fitting the need. It's going pretty good. So
Yeah, we put the electric upstairs. I got the fireplace is electric. The one out here is firewood and gas, and we tried to do it, as efficient. I stopped at all those AHR booths when I was here at the Congress Center a couple years back, and my wife gave me a list. Hey, we need air conditioners. We need this. We need that. And so I've talked to everybody, and that whole thing with the furnaces and the boiler electrifying them. That was a big thing a couple of years ago, and
yeah.
I thought it was just really interesting. I got Ream down here, and Carrier just north of me, and even though Syracuse is the headquarters, but they're here, and can't stop a train, So who do you go with? And but once again, it's all about install. The equipment's listen. Are they really different? Probably. It's like tires. Like I said, Coopers, are they better than Pirellis? I don't know. Who knows?
But
But
and you just hit the nail on the head. It's probably, and I love to say, most statistics, 85.6% of all statistics are made up on the spot, right? So I will simply say that over 90% of the problems we have with heating systems, whether it be a heat pump, air to water, air to air, whether it be a condensing boiler, whether it's propane, natural, over 90% of our problems are with installation. And so there's a learning curve here, right? So We've actually just hired a new trainer who's doing just heat pumps. We have another trainer that's doing nothing but boilers. Of course, they both cross each other in the middle, and they both can cover each other's territory. We're looking at bringing on another trainer yet. This probably later in 26.
And this ties back to the shortage of skilled labor, right?
Oh
Manufacturers
yeah.
can't do enough to train people right now.
So it's one of those things that, but it's going. I mean, it's rolling, and we're keeping up with the pace of things. And that's just on new products, not even updating what we have, and that's amazing. But
Let me jump in if I can.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Sure.
This is something that I'm trying to reinforce, and the timing was right. Both of you guys talked about electrification. I want to change that mindset about electrification. Look, there's a lot going on. I came from Square D, Schneider Electric. They're laughing all the way to the bank with all this. But I want to introduce a new word for us and for your listeners, David, and that's decarbonization. Because I believe that electrification cannot keep up with what's necessary moving forward. I believe there's got to be a balance of gas, electric, heat pump. There's got solar, wind. Everything has its place if we're going to get to where we got to go in the long term. To Steve's point about statistics, and this came to me from one of my friends at Square D. They were saying with the demand of data centers continuing to boom, right? Every year they think they can't outperform the prior year, but they crush it every year. And now with the introduction of AI, I think what he said the stat was, don't quote me exactly, but if the trajectory stays the same and AI and data centers continue to grow as they've been growing, the power grid, number one, won't be able to keep up, and
No
we would
way.
need to generate 4 times the amount of power that we do now to support the trajectory. And this goes back to why did Microsoft buy what's the power plant in Pennsylvania, Steve? Was it 7 Mile Island? What was it?
3 Mile Island.
3 Mile
Mile
Island.
Island.
Yeah.
3 Mile Island. Thank you. Why did Microsoft buy a decommissioned power plant? Because they need the power. So it's not about electrification. It's about decarbonization. And this goes back to your question on what's going on Steve's side of the world with, heating. There's an air to water heating product. And we also, on our side of Ariston's side of the business, we have an air to water, domestic hot water heater. We're 7th, 8th gen. We're one of the originators of this technology. This is one of the things that got me really excited about joining the company. There are some of the big players that will remain unnamed. They're introducing their first, their second, maybe their third generation. We've been making them for an extremely long time. Globally, we've got the technology, the know-how, and expertise to really do a good job here in the U.S. That's why I'm excited. And also some of the trends, since you asked, I think there's a lot going on now with demand response where, it's an interesting concept. I don't know if I like it or not, big government, but states like Washington State, Oregon, I think Colorado's coming out next year is going to mandate demand response units. And what that means is, depending on the amount of electricity that is being utilized at any given point, the water heater is enabled for the utility to come in and throttle that back, which I'm not a big fan of. I want my hot water when I want my hot water, but those 3 states and more to come are going to have kind of this predictive controlled demand response requirement where you don't have control of your own hot water anymore. And the other trend, as always, as everybody's talking about, what's going to come of AI? Where's it going? We're seeing it more and more. Data crunching, management of the appliances itself. So all those things are coming down the pike. But remember, decarbonization, not electrification. Let's keep those gas products in use as well.
Yeah, like I said, we use them both. I mean, and we tried to be as green as we could, but there were some things I put in these sprinklers. They were AI, and they were really cool. They're really built for, like, if you had like a little foot by 8 foot terrace, in the city, and it can mark out where you're not wasting any water, and it's not going to go over you know what I mean?
Yep.
So there were some things you look at and you're like, yeah, great. But then when you use them, you're like, I should just put in regular sprinkler heads in and been done with it. And but you know, it's like anything else. I don't like when the new next iPhone comes out, I'm not buying it for a year because I know it's going to have kinks in it or whatever, or the next new hockey skate or whatever. I let those things go out, let them let the kinks out, and then I'll buy it. I don't want to be a guinea pig, But listen, it's an exciting thing. It's an exciting time to be alive. Never
Sure.
dull moment. AI, who knows what's going to happen? Need
Well,
water. You need heat. You need to be cold.
you bring up waiting a year, right? So the nice thing about Ariston and with NTI, which we're producing the boilers for both us and HTP. We never make something and put it right on the market. I mean, we're 2 years in R&D, then a year out in the field, and then we come out with a product, which is, so when I think of something today, and I've been involved with a lot of the design work on a lot of our boilers, and so we sit down and we design, we make one and we go, no, that's not right. And we make it again. We in our R&D department, we try these things forever. We beat the crap out of them. And then we make a few dozen units and put them out in the field and find out and just give them to the guys and go. And sometimes, I mean, without even an I&O manual, I mean, this is how crazy it is, right? And we get their feedback as to what they need and what didn't work. And then we go back to it, and that's what comes to flirt. So you're already getting 3-year-old product when we come out with something new, which is fascinating to me. I mean, it's pretty intense. It's a long process. Everybody else is already on the, they think it, they put it out. And we're not so much that way. We like the quality control. We like the dependability.
Hey, listen, there's nothing wrong about being dependable. So listen, if someone was out there in commercial construction coffee talk land and they were thinking about, hey, I've got to, change some boilers out or whatever for my restaurant or for my multifamily, whatever it might be, how would someone reach out to either one of you or Ariston in general?
Yeah, Steve, go ahead. Go first.
Yeah, so I'm available at steve.wieland. That's Wieland at ariston.com. You can always call me at 215-275-2162. Leave me a message. A lot of times, like right now, I'm actually on vacation, but you can usually reach me or text me, which is kind of cool. Or you can just get a hold. You can call directly to NTI or to Ariston on our 800 numbers and talk to someone live there. You can go to our websites, ntiboilers.com or htproducts.com, and look at all the boilers. I mean, we produce boilers from 85 to 2.5 million BTU, and they're all linkable up to 8. So we can do everything from your smallest little condo all the way up to Patriot Stadium. So, I mean, it's anything you need. We got it, and we have the help. We have the reps in the area. If you go to NTI Boilers or to HT Products, you can actually go to our contact information, and it's all listed there under contacts. Our reps are there, our local manufacturers reps, our local regional sales managers. And of course, I'm listed out there because now I'm the director of national accounts, and I take care of a dozen national accounts, and everybody's always calling me. I mean, I'm sitting here watching my phone light up all morning. It's kind of fun.
Yeah. And you're both on LinkedIn, right?
Absolutely. I'm on LinkedIn.
You're both on LinkedIn?
I'm LinkedIn.
Yeah. Right, so what I'll do is I'll put your LinkedIn just information in there. I just think LinkedIn's, if you're in business, you got to be on there. So but, I'll put that in there for you. So listen, if you're out there and you want to stay warm, or you want your water to be cold, whatever it might be,
look us up.
Look them up, Ariston. I'll put all their contact info in the description.
Let me give you my info. Mine's slightly
different. Yours is coming too.
One other thing out there.
So there you go.
Mine is Mike.Sokaris, Sokaris at Ariston.com. I am on LinkedIn. I'm also on Instagram. I'm a big Instagram user. Woo! So my handle is, you can look at it one of two ways: Sokaris, TON, or SOK Ariston. So the back part of my name is the beginning part of Ariston, which I thought was pretty clever. So you can look me up there. The only other thing that I would add is we mentioned HTP, we mentioned NTI, we mentioned Ariston. There was one other brand under Ariston on the hot water side, and that is American Standard Water Heaters. That is another product that is under the Ariston umbrella. So make sure you look up American Standard Water Heaters as well. And my phone number is 518-331-5099. Look me up on Instagram, follow me. I always try to do fun stuff
All right, I'm
and
gonna put all the
industry related stuff.
I'll put all this in the description as well as when I send you your link and stuff, you'll see it all be in there in the subtitles. But hey,
Beauty.
listen, the
Sounds
reason
good.
these guys got on, their publicist sent me a PR piece, and I was kind of thinking about he, things were changing, and I was like, yeah, this would be a good time to have them on. So that's how they got on. They got to send you something. So if anybody wants to reach me, get me a David C at ccr-mag.com. Listen, it could be a golf tournament, it could be a new product, it could be personnel now, it could be an anniversary. Listen, we look at everything. We post content all day long. I got two nice ladies up in Chicago, and listen, send me something. Tough to get in the magazine, but man, we got all these other platforms and social media that we put it on. Send it to us. Don't judge the book by its cover. Send it to us, and we'll find it for you. And make sure it's all Google indexed, and they'll be able to find you in your SEO, search engine optimization. That's how Google finds you, and it's a win-win. You can share it and put it on your social media there as well. So, gentlemen, as we finish up, if there was one final positive thought or phrase that you'd like to leave with our listeners, what would it be? Mike, I'm going to start with you.
All right. So interesting you ask that question. My daughter, like I said, is 17 years old, and she a part of her yearbook is putting in a quote, to a famous quote or a quote that she likes to state. And she was struggling with it for, it's like, is this too corny, Dad? What about this? We didn't settle on anything. Interestingly enough, a couple of weeks ago, we went to a concert. It's kind of like an R&B kind of deal. I listen to a lot of different types of music. Heavy metal's my
You too.
go-to, but we went to an R&B show,
Oh,
and there
yeah.
was coincidentally the reason we went. There's this R&B guitarist singer. His name is Abraham Alexander out of Texas. Uh, I just learned about him because he was of Nigerian heritage, but he was born in Greece. Has a bunch of brothers. They
Wow.
migrated to the U.S. and now he's a singer. So it was like, you know what? We weren't doing anything. Let's go check him out. So there's a moral to the story here. It gets to your question, David. So throughout the concert, it was very thought-provoking, guys. Music is pretty cool. But he had like all these like little statements that he was making. He'd do a song, he'd talk about his experience, he'd talk a little bit about, some of the wisdom that he's learned, as a Nigerian, being born in Greece, migrating to the US. And we during the concert, we wrote down a couple that we found pretty cool that she was going to use. There were two that she ended up with. The first one is the best choice is typically not the easiest, which I thought was like, well, let's write that down. That was a pretty good one. And then he said another one that if your dreams die with you, you're thinking too small.
Yeah, that's true
So
too.
yeah, so both of those really resonated with us out of the blue, right? We didn't go there to pick up quotes. We went there, just to go to a local, small venue show from this dude, that was born in Greece. And we walked away with two quotes. And those are the two that kind of resonate with me. One of the two she hasn't picked yet is going to be in her yearbook as one of her quotes. So Abraham Alexander, if you like R&B, he's an interesting young artist. So check him out.
I'll check him out. Steve?
Yeah. So, David, I'm third generation here in the country. So my grandparents migrated here back in the 30s. And when I was 13, though back in the day they didn't diagnose us as having ADHD or ADD. And of course, I was very hard to school because nobody could apply anything. And my grandmother, my little German grandmother, God bless her. I was 13 at the time, and she said this to me. And this is, I use this quote in almost all of my trainings throughout the year. And she said, learn a trade and then go get a profession. You will have work for life. And I've lived with that since I was 13. I mean, I became a master plumber. I sold that business and bought a supply house. I went into international manufacturing. I went back in the supply house business. I went in the rep business. And now look at me. I'm here as a director of national accounts for heating for Ariston, USA. So, I mean, it works. And if everything went to crap tomorrow, I could pull my tools out of my shed and go right back to plumbing again.
Oh, yeah. So listen, if you're out there, like I said, I'm going to put these gentlemen's contact info in the description and also, when I edit it. But listen, if you're thinking about doing a new build or renovation, look these guys up. They're innovators, and like I said, HVAC, heating, it's kind of a commodity. You got to build with it. It's got to be in there, but you want to make sure you get the right system, for the right load, and that's where experience and professionalism and once again, it's got to be installed correctly too for it to work. So as we finish up, three things. Number one, you're on a construction site. We want you to be safe. We want you to get home, be able to eat dinner, catch some tube, have some REM sleep, get up and do it the next day. All right. Number two, this is the athlete in me. Got to stay liquefied. All right. Hydrated. If you don't drink water and put some electrolytes in there, you get dehydrated. The athlete, you miss the pass, you miss the open net, oh man, and you get headaches and you don't have a good night's sleep, and then your next day is just rot. So if you stay liquefied on the construction site, you're gonna have a great day, great night, and you're gonna feel that much better, the last day. Last but not least, we want you to hit the like button so we can find the algorithms. YouTube will shoot it out, and we can hear Mike and Steve's story. So, gentlemen, pleasure meeting you both.
Pleasure.
Love the Bruins jersey. Love that you're from Philly. Is it Pat's or Jim's on South Street? Which one is it?
Neither. It's Jim's pork.
Yeah. People are like, well, what's your favorite cheesesteak? I'm like, you know what? We had a house in Margate in Atlantic City, and there's a place called White House. That's got the best cheesesteaks as far as I'm concerned. So there you go, White House. I'm plugging you all the way down here in Atlanta.
So you started with sliders and you end up at the White House.
Yeah, exactly.
White Castle and White House. I love it.
Yeah, it's crazy. So listen, everybody, it's the beginning of the week. You got about, let's see, 10th. You got a little over 2 weeks, Thanksgiving. Take the time off, family, friends, and then about 2.5, 3 weeks in December. Then it's over. It's just reality in 2026. It's an amazing time to be alive. Technology, AI, interest rates come down. It's going to explode next year. It's going to be unbelievable. And all the sports are playing. You got the NBA, you got indoor lacrosse, ice hockey, college hockey. I mean, there's just so much going on. And anyway, I'm just grateful to be here on the web, talking to you as far as I'm concerned. That's the way my day's going. So listen, everybody have a great rest of the week. Mike, say goodbye from Albany.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Please follow us.
Steve, say goodbye from the Northeast.
Everybody, thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. And remember to RTFM first.
Yeah,
RTFM. I'll go with that.
And I'm going to sign off here from Lake Lanier, about 40 miles north of downtown ATL, the LA of the South. And listen, everybody have a great rest of the week. Stay warm wherever you might be. Safe travels. And we will see you next time on another episode of Commercial Construction Coffee Talk. Mike, Steve, I look forward to seeing you in person, all right?
Same
Thanks
here.
for having us, Dave.
Come see us at AHR.
All right. Cheers. See ya.
See ya.